Two big cars, over 85 grand's worth in total. Between them, they can burn enough fuel in a day to power the tanker ship that delivered it. And best of all, in 3 years' time, you'd be hard-pressed to get more than 49 grand for the pair. But that's just the bad news. On the plus side, they're both gorgeous in their own way. They're both extremely comfortable, capable and competent. And they're both right at the top of the executive car tree, both destined for the director slots in the car park. So we decided that such special cars need a special test, and we brought them here to our test ground to do just that. Our first test might be basic, but it's one of the most important, because an executive car can fail miserably before it's even turned a wheel if it can't accommodate the corporate buns. First up, it's the BMW. This is our businessman with, of course, the corporate buns. Let's see how comfortably he and his buns can fit in the front seat. It's out of the front and into the back to discover where there's enough room to stretch out. And after the BMW's performance, let's see how the Jag fares. This being Jaguar's long wheelbase version of the car, there is plenty of room. The lower driving position does require a more careful manoeuvre to climb in. Once in though, there's plenty of electric adjustment to sort it all out, sometimes a bit too much. And there's room in the back, if you like a large lunch, then to spread out and read your broadsheet on the move. So at the end of that, it is close, but the Jaguar edges ahead just. As for the extra money, you can specify the long wheelbase version. Now, throughout these tests, we're going to be awarding each car various seemingly random collections of points. Then, at the end, we'll add them all up and subtract them and divide them, and, well, we don't really understand how the whole point system works. So basically, I'll decide which one's my favourite and declare that to be the best car. So that's 12.5 points to the BMW and 127 to the Jaguar. Now, every business traveller knows there's nothing more irritating than cruising down the outside lane of the motorway and get stuck behind some family Uber in their family-type car. Any executive chariot should be able to dispatch such a car to a lesser lane with nothing more than a mere flash of the lights or a honk of the horn. Enter Motorweek's very own Putting Mortals in Their Place test. This test is simple. Our family car, driven by our volunteer here, cruises at a steady 43 miles an hour. That typical of fast lane, slow traffic. Our businessman must accelerate to within a foot or so of our volunteer's rear bumper and flash the headlights. If she still refuses to move into the slow lane, the horn may then be used and even gesticulations added as well. Each car will be awarded on the least amount of time it takes to get the car in front out of the way. First up, it's the Jaguar Sovereign. And it's a very good start. Those 4 imposing headlamps certainly do have an effect. That grille adds a bit of aggression too. Excellent use of the horn by our businessman, and eventually it does work. We get the desired effect and we can waft past on our way. And now the BMW, that Bavarian approach. Again, we have 4 headlamps here, which does give it that more aggressive stance. And again, quite an imposing grille, so it looks good behind you. She's looking worried in front. Good use of the horn and headlights. Nice combination, nice coordination. That's it. She's given up. She's had enough. The BMW has got through. And so to the points. That's 4 headlamps to the Jaguar and 6 points to the BMW. Something like that. Millions of hours of development have gone into these cars. Despite their size, they are both of them agile, manoeuvrable and dynamically excellent. But that's not all you need to win through in the Motorweek Corporate Slalom course. It's all about grit, determination and, dare I say it, good old-fashioned spunk. Each car will have to complete our gruelling slalom set up especially to test the dynamics of these businessman chariots. The Jaguar lines up, hunched and ready. It's liftoff, and yes, it's a more sedate approach, direct. These are the kind of skills that get you to the top of the business tree in order to get yourself into a car like this in the first place. Excellent, confident performance. The BMW now taking a far more flamboyant approach, not necessarily more effective, but it does look very good. Again, we are back to an awful lot of management technique.
What? Yes, it's all right. Bloody cones everywhere. Why?
And so that's a big bag of points to the Jag and possibly another big bag, maybe even more to the BMW, just for flamboyance. Both of these cars come in at over £40,000 and they're heavy depreciators over 3 years. Now that might not mean much to your average company car driving executive, but put it in terms of stocks and shares and I'm sure they'll see the point. The long wheelbase Jaguar Sovereign costs just over £45,000. After 3 years you can expect it to be worth around £21,000. That's with just 36,000 miles on the clock and in average condition. Look at it this way, your shares are worth under half of what they were 3 years ago. 4 out of 10. The BMW fares slightly better, coming in at just under £40,000. After the same 3 years and with the same miles, you can expect your investment to have lost just over a quarter and come in at a more respectable £28,000. 7 out of 10. In all fairness though, these cars aren't bought by people looking to make an investment. They're bought by companies making a statement. It's time then to tot up the scores, and in second place, the Bavarian Barnstormer loses out with a score of, loads. And our winner this week is the Jaguar XJ8 4-litre Sovereign long wheelbase, our favourite chariot for the budding corporate giant, with a score of, loads of points and then just a few more. This week's test may have been mostly for fun, almost entirely in fact, but both of these cars can excel at the top of a very competitive class. In fact, the only downside is the huge running costs and the depreciation, but as we've said, they're not bought and paid for by individuals, so who cares? If it were my money, well, it would go on the Jaguar, mostly because I think it's got more of a sense of humour than the BMW, which somehow, though nearly perfect, seems to take life just a little too seriously.